Hello there, Tis here, just dropping into Enshrouded for a bit. Now this is one of several games that I played for a day or two upon release and abandoned for one reason or another. In this case, the building system. Now don't get me wrong, the building system is amazing, but when I went to actually start building, I discovered all the bits were square, and I was obsessed with building round things at the time. Didn't have the patience to try to figure out how to build a circle out of squares. So I left. 4 updates and some award-winning later, I'm back, ready to give it another shot. Now I'm not planning to build anything round or out of late-game materials or anything fancy like that to start with. In fact, this first base probably I'm not even going to keep. So it's just a big wooden box. Purely functional, just someplace to house my NPCs as I save them, and my workstations, and a little bit of storage. As such, I didn't want to put a whole lot of effort into it, so the hardest part turned out to be putting in the front step without using actual stairs. The next step is saving the blacksmith. Not really too hard to do, only a couple guys outside and one inside. He wasn't even a boss, probably a good thing. It's not like I have any real armor or anything. For that I need the blacksmith. With the blacksmith secure and plenty of bag space left, I decide not to fast travel back home, opting instead to check out a nearby mine revealed to me by a lore entry I discovered. When I get there, I mine the flint until my pick breaks. I know I'm gonna need a couple more resources from the Shroud, so I make another pit stop on the way home. And wait, where'd all my bag space go? After making my small chest, I realize I can't upgrade it to a magic chest yet. I don't have nearly enough Shroud spores, so it's time to go hunting. I run out of easy fell to hunt fairly quick and end up having to look for more, which drives me all the way to the elixir well. I know I'm not ready for the well yet. It's that whole lack of real armor thing. To top it off, in this case, I didn't realize it at the time, but I forgot to put my food box up, so I was about as unprepared as I could be. Somehow I survived it, with being one hit away from death, and having half the durability on my weapon and less than half my shroud time remaining. I decide to just grab my spores and run. With my at-home inventory problem sorted and some charcoal cooking, I decide it's time to go for that real armor, which is going to mean lots of metal. Now there is a pretty decent-sized scavenger camp marked on the map. If I go straight there, it's gonna take me to the front entrance, and I really don't want that. So it's time to play with the grapple. Just kind of try to find an alternate route. And this particular smaller camp has way too many explosive barrels. But I make the realization here, it's actually worth it to blow up these explosive barrels in a scavenger's camp. Still, this isn't what I'm looking for. Time to find that back way into the big camp. So I'm actually feeling prepared this time. I got my food buffs up, I'm pulling enemies one at a time. All things said, this ends up being a really smooth run. Boring at times, but smooth. Gotta break it up with a little gliding practice here and there, and yeah, I still need practice on that landing. All things said, I end up with more metal scraps than I need to make my first armor set. But I'm not done. The former occupants left a bunch of demolition equipment laying around, and I fully intend to use all of it. After picking up the pieces, I discover I've more than doubled the metal scraps in my inventory. So yeah, definitely worth it. Finally equipped with some new armor and some weapons I found in the scavenger camps, it's time to jump right back over to the well, taking the most direct route possible to try to avoid, picking up random stuff along the way. It doesn't work, I still find random stuff to pick up, but not much. It's a little bit of a fight to get in. The real fight is waiting for me down at the bottom. So after all this hype, the boss turns out to not be that bad. And I don't even pay attention to what I get from him at first, choosing instead to reward myself for a job well done by mining up a bunch of mycelium. It'll come in handy, I'm sure. Next order of business is climbing the ancient spire. At this point, I'm feeling really good about myself. I finally noticed that the boss dropped a two-hand mace, which is the type of weapon I'm trying to build my character around. And the spire itself is full of puzzles, which I find to be highly enjoyable. After a quick trip back home to sleep through the night, drop off my loot, and cook up some more food buffs I'm probably not going to remember to use when I need them, I set out to go find the hunter. By the time I reach her, my inventory's looking pretty full again. So it's time to go straight back home and drop off the loot. The hunter immediately sends me to find this old salt mine she remembers. When I get close, I realize it's actually pretty far into the shroud. So I think I really need to find a way to get back out before I go in. Pretty much as soon as I actually get into the shroud, I realize I don't need to go all the way to the mine. There's a salt deposit right here. So I mine up a good stack and go back home, watch the fur dry. Yeah, the hunter may not have been able to teach me to stop picking up random things, but she did teach me to make a backpack. So now I can hold even more random things. Despite the need to focus on inventory management, it's actually been a pretty productive day. So while I'm waiting for the sun to set, let's just admire the inside of my temporary shelter, and I sure hope I've been a pleasant enough distraction for you. If so, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment if you like. I'd love to hear from you. We'll catch you next time.